Hello, everyone, and welcome to my movie review of a film that we get two Tom Hardys for the price of one. This is Legend. And I think this is the first time in 30 years that a movie has just used that title alone. Yes, there's been Legend of this, Legend of that. But when I heard that this movie was coming out and it was called Legend, the only thing that was in the back of my mind, or the front of my mind, or my mind in general, was the great underrated fantasy film directed by Ridley Scott and starring Tom Cruise and Tim Curry. But this movie has nothing to do with fantasy, has nothing to do with those actors. It's just called Legend for some reason, and it is based on the true story of two of the most notorious gangsters in the history of the UK. The movie takes place in the 1960s. As I said before, we do get two Tom Hardys for the price of one because this is about the Kray twins. A couple guys that I never heard about until this movie was announced or the trailer came out a few months ago. But I've been very interested to see this film for a while because I love Tom Hardy and I really love this director. He's made some interesting films. He's won an Oscar for writing L.A. Confidential. He made A Knight's Tale. He made Payback, really great underrated film with Mel Gibson. There's a really great director's cut of that. And a few years ago, I think the best film that he ever made as a director, 42, about Jackie Robinson. So this is his brand new movie. It's totally in a different, frame of mind. It's a very violent film. It follows these two brothers. One is played by Tom Hardy, of course, and his name is Reggie. The other one is played by Tom Hardy, of course, and his name is Ronald. Reggie is in love with a character played by Emily Browning, who's, her character is kind of given her point of view. She's narrating this story, what went on with these brothers. So we get to know Reggie. He seems like he has, he's only been in and out of prison, where his brother Ronald has not only been in and out of prison, but in and out of the psych wards and places like that. On top of that, Ronald is open, out of the closet, loves the company of men, and that was probably extremely frowned upon, especially during that time in the 1960s, but he's open about it. So there's this back and forth. We see... Reggie, he doesn't wear glasses, and Ronald wears glasses, so it's kind of a good way to distinguish both actors. But I didn't really need that because I felt that Tom Hardy was giving it his all and giving a lot of energy in both of those roles. And majority of the time, it was pretty seamless. There's a really great sequence in this film where the two guys are fighting, and it seemed like Tom Hardy was fighting himself. It was shot really, really well. Very violent scene, and I was very convinced that after watching this movie, there's got to be two Tom Hardys living out there in the world now. There is one scene in this entire film. There's a scene where they take a picture with the police officer that's investigating them during that time. That was the only scene where I was taken out of the film when it came to the two brothers because it looked very fake. It looked extremely fake. The chemistry between Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy is pretty amazing. It's really great. It's very seamless, almost 99.9% of the time. But the chemistry between Tom Hardy and Emily Browning, I never really bought it. I never really bought their love. I don't know if that's true. That's part of the true story. Again, this is the first time I've ever really heard of the Kray twins. So I was excited to see this film because I thought, maybe I'll learn something new about something that I didn't really know about. And I'm a sucker for gangster films. I love gangster movies. This one is a decent one. It's nothing that spectacular or interesting. And sadly, I feel like the material doesn't live up to the performances by Tom Hardy. Now, I will point out that I only really understood him about 75% of the time. It was really hard to understand Ronald more than Reggie. Just the way Tom Hardy talks in this movie, I don't know how true it is, again, to the real guys and stuff like that. So I don't know if they really actually talked like that. But, even though it was about 75% of the time where I was like, what is he really saying? I really need subtitles right now. I got the idea. I understood what was happening. And just as a gangster movie, yes, it's violent. Yes, there's some great scenes of stuff that's just awful and horrible to look at, and very entertaining at the same time. But I just felt like the story felt so tedious and bored with itself, and very anticlimactic. Maybe it doesn't help that the story kind of doesn't really, the real story maybe didn't really go anywhere. And this movie is sadly not getting a very strong release here in the States. I think it's a big box office success over in England, and kudos to that. But here in the States, it's not really being seen, and I found it in one theater in my entire area. It's an okay gangster film. I would say I'm not going to recommend this movie, but it's definitely worth seeing for Tom Hardy's performance alone. And the movie does have great production value, a great soundtrack, and some great costumes and great art direction. I just wish I was more involved or more scared of these guys. I feel like there's going to be a better film coming along, and it's a shame that this one is kind of okay. It's kind of good. It's kind of I kind of found some enjoyment from it thanks to Tom Hardy's performance. I think it's a really great performance from him. Show two sides of his acting chops, even though he is playing two characters. And I would say, for the most part, I bought that he was the Cray twins, or at least the movie presented in a very convincing way that there was two Tom Hardys on the screen, for the most part. But I wouldn't say rush out to see this movie. Maybe rent it or wait till it's on Netflix. And for that, I am going to give Legend, a movie that doesn't really live up to its title. So when I think of Legend, I'm not going to be thinking of this movie. I'll be thinking of the movie that came out 30 years before that. But in the meantime, I'm going to give this movie, that is called Legend, I'm going to give the film 2.5 stars out of 4.
Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and share this video. And also, please check out these amazing movie websites. And if you enjoyed this review, please click here to subscribe to my channel, and also please check out all my recent reviews right here on YouTube. Have a great day, live film, find peace, happiness, and harmony in anything and everything you do, and I'll talk to you at my next movie review.